Hey, we're back, and since last time, what I did was create a new class for each photo, and I called it, not surprisingly, photo. So this is going to be a grid of photographs, and as you can see, I have all my divs in here, and I've inserted each image, and I want you to notice that the width is 300, the height is 270. I did that in Photoshop, not in the software, and they all have the alt attribute. So very important, the alt attribute. The alt attribute was originally built for people who needed screen readers, in other words, the visually impaired, but it has grown to become an important SEO tool. That is one of the tools that Google and the other search engines use to crawl your site and gather information about it. So if you are missing alt text, you are missing out on higher placement in the search engines. All right, well, now that I'm off that soapbox, let's see what it looks like. So these should all just line up really nice. So I should have a grid of images based on the width of my wrapper. I sized them all 300 pixels wide, so we'll have room for some padding and some margin in between the images. So let's go to live view and see what we have. Oh, well, that doesn't look good, does it? Why are my images, I should have at least 3 images up here, and look, the footer has pushed itself all the way up to the top. That is no good at all. So what possibly could be stopping these images from going 3 by 3? That doesn't make any sense. All right, well, let's look at the CSS that I have already written. So as I said, I wrote a photo style. So it's got a background color, just like the rest of my background colors for the website. It floats left. It does not clear because we aren't clearing the float because we don't want anything except maybe the very last image. And I have a margin of 1%. What happens if I take the margin out? Nothing. Okay, well, what could my problem be? Okay, well, guess what? My problem is this. My problem is actually in the main rule. So remember, I created my main CSS box to be 60% of the width of the entire piece. So now my width for the main rule is presenting a problem. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have a separate style sheet for the photos page so that it does not mess up the rest of my pages, basically, because the home page I've built to be a 60% width with 3 asides that are floating right alongside it. For this, if I keep the width of the main area at 60%, well, that's going to present a problem for me. So I have 2 choices. Number one, I could play with I could delete the rule about width and make a new style sheet. Or 2, I could nest the divs inside something else, like a section. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually apply a different style sheet to this particular page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to styles.css. I'm going to go to my files, my local files, close images. I'm going to open up styles.css, and I'm going to save it as photostyles.css. There we go. Okay, now this is going to temporarily mess us up quite a bit. So I'm going to go to code view here in my source code, and right now it's referencing styles.css for my photos page. This is for my photos page only. Well, instead I'm going to make it reference photostyles.css. Okay, well, so far we haven't made any changes, so really that hasn't done anything. So we're going to look at it in split view. Let's look at it is now linked to photostyles.css, and now we can work on our main tag, our main rule rather. So for this, I'm going to take out width of 60%, and lo and behold, my 3 columns of photos snap into place. Great, that's exactly what I want. Okay, I'm also going to take out the margin right of 1%, the padding of 1%, the float of left, because now I have all the images floating, so I don't care if it floats left. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to take that out. Height of auto, background color is fine, and it still has a border, which I think is fine. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my rule for photos. So I have a margin of 1%. I think I'd like a bit of more of a margin, so I'm going to make margin of 2%. But actually, to tell you the truth, I might want different margins. So I'm going to do margin right, colon, 2%. And I'm going to do margin bottom, (2%). Instead of all the way around, I'm being a little bit more selective. Okay, so that's a nice photogrid. I like that. Okay, so now I have my photogrid of 9 images. Let's see what that, I'm going to save that, and now let's see what that looks like in live view. All right, that's what I want, except for one thing. I think I want a little bit of margin on top. So since we're using a new style sheet, I can add that to the main tag and it'll push those images down. So let's go to split view. So here I'm going to do margin top, and I'm going to do 1% because I want space between the nav bar. I might do 2%. Let's see what 2% looks like. There. And I'm not really sure I want the border anymore. So I'm going to take that out. So it's totally okay to have, it's totally okay to have more than one style sheet for the different parts of your document. And as you can see, I need to put my Jaguar image in the header here. So I'm going to do that. So here we go. So instead of content for new header tag goes here. Okay, here's a little cheat. I'm going to go to images, and this one's called Jaguar Eyes logo. Jaguar Eyes logo, there it is. I'm just going to drag it right where it goes. That's right, I'm just going to drag it right where it goes. That's right. This actually does work. All right. Yes, it doesn't want to work for me today though. So what the heck, I'm going to insert an image. Yeah, I thought I was so smart. I'm going to have to insert it the old-fashioned way. So Alt is going to be Jaguar logo. All right, so now we have our nice image grid, and our footer tag I'm going to save for later because I got these images from all sorts of sources and I want to credit all the sources. But that is how we make an image grid in CSS and have all of the images floating side by side. I first sized them, and then I created a new rule, and I restyled my main style sheet because I knew that I was going to need a different type of rule for the main tag. And that's it.